This is Sports Federation TV. We had an interesting chat with Mr. Paul Kay about his life in sport, and you'll get more insights about how sport changes people's lives, and not only as athletes, but in other aspects of sport. We're now going to chat to Jeanine. Good evening, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Anthony, you well?
I'm very good, thanks, and you?
Good. This couple decided to do something different, and I'll let them explain to them what they did. Jeanine, tell us about the little text message you sent to your husband. Let's start there.
Yeah, we both came from a swimming background previously, but me in particular hadn't swum for maybe competitively for 10 or 15 years. And I've always been a lifelong dream to swim the English Channel, and I had this idea in the back of my mind. And yeah, last year I think, approaching some kind of midlife crisis, decided that it was time to take the bold step. But it seemed so far-fetched at the time that I couldn't even verbalize it out loud. So I decided to send Anthony a text message to ask him if he thought it was a good idea. And I was waiting for his response. I thought if he laughs, that's it, we're out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his response came back very quickly, thinking it was a fantastic idea. And then I was really stuck. Yeah, and that's how our journey started to the channel.
Sure. Anthony, where is the English Channel for people who don't know the geography?
You swim from the southwest of England, a town called Dover, in that vicinity. You swim across to Calais, which is on the French coast. It's about a 36-kilometer swim as a crow flies. And
that's a standard crossing for most people?
Yeah, it all depends on the tides and currents.
Okay.
But you normally start within a 10-kilometer stretch on the English coast, and you finish wherever the tide puts you, basically. It's an area of like 30 k's on the French coast.
Yep.
Jeanine finished 5 kilometers away from where I finished.
Wow.
The current
and you started at the same point?
Exactly the same point, yeah.
But I mean, I've got an Ironman background. So you swim and there's a beacon and you know you've got to swim to that beacon. Now you're swimming in a wide open ocean. How do you manage this kind of thing as a start?
You've got a pilot who goes with you. So
okay.
he's got his boat. And then he will navigate you across the channel. So he will try and work out how fast you're swimming, where the tides are going to be, and he'll put you in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
You can only see land, we only saw land like from 5 kilometers away.
Yeah, that's why I was confused, because now you're swimming in this, all you're seeing is water around you and one little pilot, and hopefully his navigation system's correct.
Yeah, ours was spot on, absolutely spot on. But all you look at for those 10 hours is the side of his boat.
Sure, 10 hours. Jeanine, what was it like swimming in this big ocean, having these big tankers and all these other ships? Could you see them? I mean, that's a busy channel.
Yeah, Anthony was more lucky. He didn't actually have to stop for any of them. There was one particular stop that we had to do, a compulsory stop quite suddenly, where we think he might have misjudged on the radar how far it was. And I stopped for maybe 3 to 5 minutes for a massive container to come past. And at first I couldn't see it. I just saw the side of my boat, and it suddenly it was ginormous. It looked like Cavendish Square coming past. And you feel very small, very intimidated. It's quite frightening, yeah.
And did you have to tread water for that period, or what did you do in that period?
Yeah, you just tread water. You're not allowed to hold on to the boat, hold on to anything. So you just they told me to take my goggles off. I just kind of lay on my back, and we chatted to the crew, check everyone's okay. It was quite a good stop just to kind of calm me and just see, take check of where we were and everything okay. And yeah, they move very quickly past you though. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
For a huge ship like that?
Well, they're traveling in the current as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
How long did it take you, Anthony?
9 hours, 33 minutes.
Sure. That's a whole day's work.
I didn't work that long.
And you, Jeanine?
I swam 10 hours, 30 minutes. I was just short of an hour behind him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Eating? Do you eat during this event, or how does all of this work?
Yeah, we fed very differently.
Okay.
For the first 4 hours, I was just on Coke and water and a product called Roctane. And then I fed from hours 5 to 9.5 on Twinkies.
Twinkies?
Twinkies, yeah.
That's a different kind of racing diet.
Yeah, but it's nice because it's very easy to eat. So you don't, and it's very sweet. It's good. Your mouth is very salty. So it's more of a lacquer thing than a. Yeah, I don't really follow supplements and that kind. I would go on natural stuff.
Okay.
Where Janine's the other way around.
What did you eat, Jeanine?
Well, I had an issue with I really struggled to eat in the water, and I also have a problem a little bit with my blood sugar that fluctuates. So I actually ate nothing. I ate one piece of banana, and I went all the way across on Hammer Perpetuum, which worked like bombs. So I just would take hammer. I just took hammer all the way.
And how do they feed you?
You've got bottles attached to 30-meter lines that they throw off the boat at you, and you stop at. You could choose as well how often you wanted to stop. I stopped every 45 minutes. He stopped every hour.
Okay.
So after an hour, every 45 minutes, you stop, take a few gulps, check everything's okay, adjust yourself, and off you go again. Yeah.
So it's a pre-planned thing. It's not just, oh, I need water or I need something to
No,
do.
you have your support crew that goes with you. I had like 4 good mates on the boat with me, and you go through it beforehand, when you're going to eat, what you're going to eat. But obviously, got to be flexible. You know, if you don't feel like eating, you don't need. So they give you everything. I had, with every feed, I had a juice bottle and food bottle. I just take what I wanted, and they reeled it back in.
Okay.
Our approaches to those things with the swim was very, very different. Anthony's a little bit more
Cowboy style.
No, a little bit more unorganized. I'm a little bit more obsessive and more planned, and all according to strict plan. But I luckily had a very good second that took that on and was happy to deal with all of that.
Yeah, I just want to stress the importance of the second you take with you, because they've got to look after you. Janine's second swam like more than half of the swim with her.
Wow.
Yeah, they must. It's an important person to have with you.
Okay, so you've done this whole thing. Now take us a step back. What was the training like? I mean, if you're swimming for 9.5 hours, and in your case 10.5, what's the training like? How much time did you spend in the water? Was it pool only, or was it sea as well?
No, I think that the training for us as a couple with 2 small children, we've got 2 girls that are aged 6 and not so small. She's 6 and the other one's going to be 12.
Yep.
With the family, it was quite a tough call. So we actually never, apart from once a week, ever managed to train together. I'd train in the morning before they went to school, and Anthony would train at night. So, yeah, and we worked worked up to between 35 and 40 kilometers. I must have swum in excess of 1,000 kilometers over the year that we set aside to try.
Did you keep a logbook of all of this, or how did you manage?
I very obsessively yes to every meter. Anthony definitely not. So I can tell you exactly when I did what. Yeah, but we did.
You asked about the pool and the sea. We try to do most of our distance training in the pool during the week, and then once a week, every 2 weeks, to do a long sea swim just to supplement that. Yeah. We actually found out, well, according to us, that the best training to do for the channel is not in the sea. It's in a windy lake or a windy dam. Yeah. Because there's not a big rolling groundswell like you get here. Yeah. There, it's the waves are very small and very close together. So if you can find a dam and swim in that kind of conditions in a windy day, that's ideal. What you're going to get.
So, but like Silvermine Dam, or
on a windy day.
On a windy day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you, when you're out in the sea, how do you measure it? I mean, that's a silly question for someone like me, but I mean, you guys should know.
A lot of the swims here in Cape Town are very well documented.
Is it?
Like, the Robben Island swim, 7.5 Ks. Do that twice, it's 15 Ks. The swim from Cape Town to the island to Bloberg is 20 Ks. Yeah. So it's all well documented.
That's the kind of training you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some long ocean swims. You have to, in preparation for the channel, do a minimum of 6-hour qualifying swim in temperature under 15 or
I think it's 16
degrees.
And we for that we did from Bloberg to Robben Island, round the island, and back to Bloberg again.
Okay, so you need to qualify as not just whoever so will may come.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's the governing body for all of this kind of stuff?
There are 2. Okay. There's the Channel Swimming Association, that's the one, and the other one's the Channel Swimming and Pilots Federation, which broke away from the CSA.
So you decide which one you want to go with?
Yes, exactly.
So they have different qualification standards, or pretty much the same?
We were with the CSA.
Okay.
I'm not sure how different the other thing is.
That's interesting. Let's take a short ad break, and when we come back, we'll catch up with these 2 crazy swimmers. See you now. This is Sports Federation TV. We're chatting to a young couple who decided to swim from England to France.
I like the young.
Yes, you're young.
No.
You're young because you participated in an awesome event. Something that I'd love to do. I don't know if I'll qualify though, but I'd like to do it at some point in my life. Maybe on my bucket list. So having come through all of this now, what's next? You haven't thought that far yet. You're just trying to recover from this first.
Yeah, we haven't entirely thought about that. Just to give some thought about what's next and where to and what to do. Yeah.
But I mean, what was it like doing the event? Take us through parts of the event, Anthony. What, from the start? I mean, just give us snippets of being in the big wide ocean. What stood out for you? What made the event special for you, other than having your wife start?
I think the highlight was finishing with Jeanine in France. That was definitely the highlight. And then it's also being with my mates on the boat, because my mates were my seconds and they were with me, and it was great. I don't remember much about the swim itself. I almost tend to go into like a hypnotic state where I can't remember for like hours on end what actually happens. I can tell you about what happened during the feeds and all the a couple of funny moments here and there.
Give us one or two of those funny moments.
I lost a tooth.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
You got knocked by a bottle.
I was hoping it wouldn't show you.
Did you get knocked by a bottle?
No, I was busy. I was eating my food, and it just came out. So I spat it out and I gave it back to the boat and carried on swimming again. Yeah.
So where's the tooth now? Threw it away? Or you
No, I went to the dentist and she said, no, it's terrible.
You should have bottled it and
I
kept it preserved it.
Yeah.
I've actually got it in our little handful of treasures, the 4 pebbles from France with his tooth and a champagne cork we had on the boat.
Lovely, lovely. What was special for you, Jeanine? What made it exciting for you, other than it's being on your bucket list and something you can tick off?
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible journey. It's a very humbling journey because there's many things that have to line up on that event to actually work that you have no control over. The swim itself, there were many highlights and also many humorous moments. I think it was very special, the people I was surrounded by. One of our very, very best friends, Peter Cole, swam with me. I think that journey with him from start to finish was incredible. For me, our friend Dave Ashman on the boat, he was unbelievable. And somebody late that joined us, Andy Pfaff on my crew, was also a great support. So yeah, just my bonding with them was incredible. And I think the moment when I first realized I was actually going to make it, and when I actually saw the land, was the most memorable moment ever. Yeah.
Did you even have doubt with the amount of training you did?
You do. It's never over. There's a particular point there where if you're not far enough east in the channel before the tide actually turns on you, where there's a particular point where the tide is so strong that it could actually wash you completely past France.
Sure.
So if you're not far enough east, there's not much you can control. And yeah, when I actually just stopped and realized I could see the land and we were going to make it, it was incredible. Yeah.
And you, Anthony?
That point, if you get washed past the point, it adds another 3 hours onto your swim.
Sure.
Because it's a cape that sticks out like that, and as you're swimming across, the land falls away. So the tide's pushing you down. You actually can't get close enough to the land.
Okay.
So you have to wait for the tide to turn before it pushes you back again. And I only realized that I was going to make it like 5 minutes from the end. So that doubt in your mind is there the whole time. That's the terrifying thing about it, because you never know, are you going to be swimming for 9 hours or 13 hours? Now, you don't know whether to push hard to make the 9 hours and then blow yourself for another 4 hours.
Yeah.
So it's...
And taking all of that into account, how did you manage the currents?
You don't.
Not manage the currents, but how do you negotiate swimming
You almost don't feel it. You're aware from just our experience of seeing the tracking that you're actually moving, but you don't actually physically feel it unless you're going with it, as I was towards the end.
And it gives you an extra bit of momentum.
You leave that to the pilot. The pilot must work that out.
That's his job.
That's his job.
Okay. And then, did you only freestyle? Is another crazy question.
It's just the quickest.
But I mean, when you were feeding, no backstroke, no nothing, no floating.
No.
Float, tread, have a few sips, and go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, often you find people at big events, they need a break, so they change stroke just to recover. And having a pilot there would make it a bit easier, because now you're not going to go off course too far if you backstroke.
Yeah. No, we just stuck to freestyle. Simplest and the easiest. Get there as fast as you can.
And was it a traditional freestyle, 3, breathe, or did it vary?
We both different. Janine's traditional 3-stroke, breathe the other side.
Yeah.
We just breathe the one side the whole way.
And wasn't your neck sore after that? I mean,
very.
I can imagine.
For 2 days it was very, very sore.
I mean, 9 hours and you're having to do this all the time?
Yeah. That's a lot of head turns.
The ocean there is very different to here. Our ocean is more rolling. The ocean there, what I explained, it felt like a dam, swimming in a dam into the wind. The chop comes at you continually the whole time from a different direction. So you never actually settle down. It never feels that you're settling down into any rhythm. You kind of think, please, can I just have like 15 minutes to swim? And when you think you're settling, change it around, hits you from different directions. So you kind of have to adapt to how you're swimming to whatever the conditions around you're doing.
But I mean, that must be fun. fun in a good way.
It
Yeah,
definitely breaks up the boredom.
I was going to say,
That's,
keeps you
that's what I mean,
occupied.
the fun part.
Yeah.
Because it's not predictable that the currents are going to be at a certain level, the waves are going to be at a certain level, because you can't predict it. And in your case, you couldn't predict the container vessel
Not
coming
at
past
all,
either.
yeah.
I mean, no matter how much planning you're going to do for this thing, there's going to be a point that it's not going to happen according to script.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. according
And there's
to
a
that
lot of
script.
that can not go according to plan on a channel swim. Everything's got to line up.
How much out of plan was the actual event to what you planned? Because that's a critical part. I mean, particularly in your case, that's so by the book.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult swim to prepare for because you never at any point think, how fast am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
It's a question. Yeah, it never crossed my mind how much faster can I go. It's all about just getting there, and that's what makes it tough in terms of if you're trying to chase a particular time, which you never can, because there's so much that you can't.
Yeah,
So you never picked the time in your or
I think we both had like a best case scenario and
Okay.
a worst case scenario.
Yeah, our 11-year-old daughter made a particular sum of how she'd figured out how we were training and what we spoke about. She came with her little piece of paper and told me that I'd go 11 hours.
wow.
And I said, my angel, it's not as simple as that. And
Yeah.
she said, but it is as simple as that.
Mm.
So bizarrely, when I started, I said 11 hours. And I never asked to know where I was until half of that. Until 5.5 hours. It's the first time I asked them to show me the map of exactly where I was.
So they gave you distance markers at the what intervals? Did,
Every feed.
Okay.
We had a whiteboard with a map
Okay.
drawn, in
Yep.
basic sub A drawing,
Yes.
and then at every feed they put an X
Okay.
where we were.
Yeah. And they also write on those boards to communicate with you because you can't hear much.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, my particular second was very entertaining with his comments on the whiteboard.
Like, give us an example.
Oh, he just knew me really well and just wrote the biggest lot of rubbish that was just entertaining and lightning.
With the snails.
Yeah, that was actually the moment I said when I realized when we were approaching France, I saw he'd written on the whiteboard, he'd wrote, "I smell garlic snails."
Oh,
And I stopped. That was the moment of my life. I stopped and I said, "Is that France?" And he was like, "What do you think it would be?" Yeah, so we've actually got an incredible picture where he's holding it with me in the background. Yeah, and
Okay.
just lots of humorous stuff too, old family jokes and names, and just it was so those are the things that kind of unplanned that kind of carry you forward
absolutely.
in 10.5 hours of water. You get quite lonely.
Because you
Yeah.
need something to come into you as a person.
Yeah.
To motivate you to keep you pushing harder. Not necessarily harder, but just to keep you going.
You need the right people that know you well enough
Absolutely.
to what will make you tick
Absolutely.
forward. Yeah.
And how were your kids through all of this experience, this whole year of training? What did they think of you two crazy parents?
I don't know what they thought of us, but they handled it pretty well. Jeanine and I, like, she'd train in the mornings before work and I'd train after work. So there was always one parent with the kids, apart from the long swims on the weekend.
I think Johanna, who's older, she had more of an understanding about, what we're trying to do, and it was important to me, or what I wrote also, that to try and teach them that life's about chasing dreams. It's not whether you reach the goal, it's about your journey to take the courage to get it. And she definitely has an understanding of that, and hopefully in time more. The little one was good for balance, and she's got
Humour.
a hell of a sense of humor, and didn't mean much to her at all. But we hope in time that I think she found the training hard. We were away from them a lot, and but I think in time I hope they understand the lesson behind it and what it just is to chase those dreams.
And other than that, as a couple, would you recommend a couple participating in sport together?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely
There's
would,
ups and downs.
Yeah.
Give us for anybody out there.
I think you need, well, to me, you need respect. Our approaches to sport is so different. He is so more laid back, and I am that more, compulsive, planned person in everything we do. And it's about respect, about just letting each other be who you are. We kind of just found a medium where he did what he had to do, and I had to do what I had to do.
Like,
and
for
that's-
instance, before a big event or a big training swim, we wouldn't speak for an hour beforehand, because she would irritate me with her organisation, and I'd irritate her with my attitude. So we just walk away and do our own thing. So as Jeanine said, respect for each other and for what they value and the way they do things is great. And just do a journey like this together with somebody is, you always get something to talk about, something to reminisce on.
And do you find that it's brought you closer together as a couple? Or were you already close? Was it?
I'm hoping we were already close. No.
But closer, because there's a bigger bond now.
It's definitely improved our communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable thing together. Something that it's just it has been unbelievable for us. Yeah, you can't almost put it into words. Yeah.
Would you recommend this to anybody else? Not necessarily the couple experience, but swimming the channel, or both.
Yes, I think it's definitely an achievable dream, but a dream that takes a lot of hard work. And as a couple, yes, it's an incredible thing to do. I think that's why I was also driven for us to do it. It's one of the athletic things that we're both able to do. You don't often find that opportunity that both people are able to do something within an hour apart of one another. So that's why it was such an incredible thing for us to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have been different if there were big extremes in our ability. If Jeanine was 5 hours faster than me or whatever, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And then in closing, what would you say to someone who wants to participate in sport, who's sitting on a couch right now? Not necessarily doing the swim, but just participating in sport and leading a healthy life.
Get out there and do it.
Yeah.
A bad day on the sports field is much better than a good day on the couch.
You know, Anthony always, what carried me forward at a time when I was grumpy was saying that a good mood is only one workout away. And it's just about, for me so long I did absolutely nothing. It's about just finding the courage to start. It's the start point. I grabbed that Speedo, didn't know how the hell I was going to manage to do this, but I knew I had to do it and make a plan. And it's about the starting point, about getting out there and just believing enough to see it through.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for being an inspiration to your kids and to being inspiration to everybody else out there.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming into studio. Let's take a short ad break, and when we come back, we'll catch up with the equestrian event and the community diary. See you now.